Hi there, and in this box I've got a copy of the very first Lego set I ever got way back when I was just a young lad. Now, most of the Lego which I had when I was a kid was given away to my nephews and nieces before I had children myself. And that's because both of my brothers were much older than me and had children first. But because they were much older than me, the Lego that they had was from the 60s and 70s and was mainly basic bricks like this, windows and doors like this, wheels like this, and weird looking brick built people like this. So I was the first person in the family to get actual minifigures. And the first major Lego set which I got came out the same year as the minifigure. And that's the set which I've recently bought and I'm going to be opening up today. Now, in the first year of minifigures in 1978, there were no printed torsos at all. The torsos were either plain like these guys, or they had stickers on them. And that was even the same for my beloved classic spacemen. In their first year, when we only had red and white, they had stickers on their torsos. Now, these two guys came from a few years later, so they've got printed torsos, but I do have stickered versions in my collection. However, they're in storage at the moment and I can't get hold of them for this video. And that brings us back to my first ever Lego set, which I've just rebought off eBay, as the original is long gone, and I'm really hoping that it's in as good condition as the pictures on eBay suggested it is. And as you can see, it is set 377 and it was simply called Shell Service Station. It was released in 1978, however I got my copy of it 2 years later on Christmas Day in 1980. It's got 179 pieces and 2 minifigures, and back in 1978 it had a price tag of £12.55. And if you adjust that for inflation up to 2026 prices, that's about £93. And £93 for 179 pieces goes to show that Lego isn't getting expensive. I think it's pretty much always been expensive. If you want to buy one today, a good used copy comes in at about £60 to £80, and I managed to get this for under that for £49.58. And if you want a sealed copy, it's going to cost you about £800 to £900. And for £49, you can see that this copy is in a really good condition box. It's got a slightly dented in inner tray, but the outside sleeve is in still perfect condition. It doesn't have any creases or marks on it. On the front, it's got one big picture of the set and also 2 smaller pictures, one showing the inside of the shop and one showing one of the workmen. And because we were back in the 70s, on the back of the box it shows alternate builds, which is ideas of other things that you can build with the same parts. Now, even back in 1978, 179 pieces did not need a box this large. However, it needed to be this size to accommodate the amazing base plate. Now, as well as being the first in the family to own minifigures, this was the first ever base plate which arrived in my family. And considering this is 48 years old, you can see it's absolutely perfect condition. There's no scratching, it's not even discoloured or dirty. So the base plate bodes well for the condition of the rest of the set, but we're going to open it up and have a look. And you can see once the sleeve has been taken off that they actually made the inner tray smaller to fit those bricks in, and it was only that size, like I said, to fit the base plate. The sellers put the instructions in a little plastic wallet, so we'll pull those out and see what condition those are in. So these are in no way immaculate, but I wouldn't expect them to be for the price I paid, but at least the leaflet doesn't have any tears or pencil marks or drawing of any kind on them. The piece is also looking pretty good condition. I can see one minifigure with one of those stickered torsos and a few other stickers, so we're going to get the bits out and have a look at them in closer detail. And on first inspection, these look great. All the white pieces are still nice and white, they haven't been sun faded, and all the plates are still nice and shiny, not covered in dust or dirt. And the 3 largest stickers are still also in really good condition. They're all stuck across multiple pieces, so this is the large sign which goes on the roof of the petrol station. This is part of the support for the canopy across the road, and it's really good on this side, slightly yellowed on the other. And this one's built into the front wall of the service station, and that one too is still very white. And then we've got the stickers on the petrol pumps, which are in a wide variety of conditions. This one's pretty good looking, this one's very sun damaged and faded at the edges. And seeing how different these 2 stickers are does lead me to believe that this might not be all the original set, and the seller may have bought in other parts to complete the set to sell it on. A few other personal bits to note: this was also the first tree of this style I got in my family. The front headlights and grille for the car was still printed on a 1x4 4x4 brick, which was very common back in the 70s, and it would be a few years before LEGO started brick building them using those headlight bricks with 1x1 plates on their sides. And after growing up with doors that looked like this, it was really cool to get a door which actually opened and of course fitted a minifigure. And the last piece to note is this 1x2 black tile, which the sellers kindly put in a separate grip seal bag. And back when I was a kid, this was my absolute favourite piece of the set. At the time I had absolutely no idea what it was, but it had this rather cool sticker on it which was in still pretty good condition. But what my small 8-year-old brain back then didn't realise is with a plus terminal on this side and a minus terminal on this side, it's a spare battery for sale in the shop. So that's all the parts, but obviously we need to get building. And the first 6 steps builds us the car. And then flipping the instructions over, we can see that there are a further 10 steps, 4 on this side, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 finishing it off to build the entire service station. And if you're not familiar with 70s and 80s LEGO instructions, basically you looked at the first step, and then you looked at the next one and played spot the difference. And you had to try and find out which bits were new, so which bits you needed to add on in that step. Now of course for me it's all about the minifigures, and these two have their stickered torsos with their shell logos on them. However, I do have to say, looking closely at these, if these are 48 years old, I'm a monkey's uncle. I think these must be reproduction stickers. They'd look far too good and new to be originals. But despite the possibility of a few reproduction stickers in this set, the nostalgia for me is absolutely massive. I vividly remember getting this on Christmas Day in 1980, and after opening it, not wanting to open any other presents and just build the set. So much so, I think it took me so long that my parents actually had to drag me away. But this time there's going to be no interruptions. I can get it built all in one go. And here we have the finished build. And I do sometimes forget how easy LEGO instructions are to follow these days compared to back in the 70s and 80s. All 10 steps are from exactly the same view and doesn't give you any leeway for things which might be slightly around the corner. Like step 3, where you add this layer of white over on this side of the service station, but because this plate is being placed behind this brick here, you can't quite see what it is. It's a 1x2 plate, but it could be mistaken for a 1x3. But the worst step was going from step 9 to step 10. You can see in step 8 we get the red plates together, and then in step 9 we put a row of yellow plates all the way around the edge. But then we jump to step 10, the roof is on, and we've got this row of white plates all the way around, and you have absolutely no idea what parts are behind that shell sign. But like I said, building this set, the nostalgia for me was great. To get the shell colours on the canopy by using a large red plate and then edging them in white and yellow was a really nice technique. I remember loving it back then, and it's still a pretty cool, nice idea today. Of course, the building techniques are absolutely nothing compared to what we have in LEGO sets today, but for the time it was a whole new set of pieces which I'd never seen before. For example, this year the wheel sets were brand new. Before this year we had wheel sets mounted on a 2x2 brick instead of a 2x2 plate, and the wheels were smooth instead of having this tread on them. It was of course this strange limbo period which we had for about a year or so, where we had minifigures, but we had vehicles which the minifigures couldn't fit inside. I distinctly remember getting this set and being quite excited about this plate. I'd never seen a 1x3 before. Up until then all my plates had been in even numbers. I also remember feeling slightly cheated about this random piece of wall here. It doesn't give us any more space inside the service station itself, it just seems to sit here not being much use at all. At the time, small clear bricks were also a slight novelty for me, and we've got a 1x1 round on the shelf here and a 1x1 square, obviously items you can buy in the shop and you can decide what you think they might be. We don't get a printed cash register, we just get this 1x2 slope brick, but we do get the hint of a screen up here, but back then it was all mechanical and the numbers would have popped up and showed you how much you owed. Now we do have 2 Shell employees, and even if their stickers are reproductions, this is a very vintage hairpiece. It was the only hairpiece we had back then, and you can see it's a solid stud, so we know that's an original head too. And then just inside that door, which like I said is actually just high enough for a minifigure to walk through compared to previous doors, we have that spare car battery sitting on the floor just in case anyone needs to buy a new one. We've got a fair amount of space inside this service station, but with a few extra pieces, LEGO could have extended it out where this redundant wall is. The holder for the spare tyres across the other side of the road is a very cool use of the piece which gets used commonly in LEGO space sets. There's also a surprisingly good part usage on the petrol pumps themselves. The top's very simple, just a 2x3 plate and a 2x3 clear brick, which you don't really get nowadays, but the part where the hose is stored is half of a 1x2 hinge brick, and you can stow the other end of the petrol pump hose in the hole down there. I think the one thing this set is really lacking is a customer to buy all those lovely 1x1 bricks on the shelf and that spare battery just inside the door. But then maybe we did get a customer in the set and he's just stuck inside this car, unable to get out. Now I know most of my videos are crazy upscale builds and collecting every colour of LEGO classic spacemen, but I really do like my vintage LEGO as well. So in between huge upscale builds while I'm buying parts for the next step, I hope you enjoy seeing some of my classic builds like this. And also, no video would be complete with saying a huge thank you to all my channel members. Thank you so much for your support, it really helps my channel out and helps me fund my massive upscale builds. And if anyone else is interested in becoming a channel member and getting their name on a brick in my videos, you can click on the join button below this video or the link in the description and that'll tell you how. I've had a lot more parts arrive this week for my upscaled snack bar, which would go really nicely with this set, and after rebuilding this set I'm thinking that this petrol pump might also be a worthy candidate for a future upscale build. There'd be a couple of nice challenges, getting the cutout on that yellow brick, building the round half hinge on the 1x2 white brick, and also trying to get enough clear pieces to build that huge 2x3 brick on top. But step 2 of the snack bar should be coming in a week or so's time, and while I'm buying parts for that I'm also trying to start buying parts for step 3 as well, which includes our first black plate and our light grey plate. So as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, it helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps it spread it out to other people who may not have seen it. But above everything else, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.